it's a bit windy today, it's also a little bit rainy, but I do want to work outside because I want to apply some coating on my rock face. This rock face was made or is made out of different types of bark, and I want to coat the surface to protect it, to make it more sturdy, and I use this liquid called Tiefengrund. It's a German manufacturer, but you can compare it with, I think, a kind of mixture you also can get by mixing glue and wood glue and water. Well, to seal the structure, to prevent bark from chipping off, I will apply a few coats using this spray can, and yeah, that's what I'm gonna do now. Okay, let's do this.
It will take roughly 8 hours to dry, but actually it's raining now, so it's also very moist. Well, we'll see when most of the watery stuff is gone. I will put it inside. Hopefully it will dry a bit faster. All these threads from the wood glue for the hot wire glue gun, we want to remove them. But yeah, well. So when this is dry, I apply maybe a few coats more, and after that, it's time to work with paper maché and try to blend all these separate parts into one nice big rock face. So yeah, well, this is done. Have to dry, and yeah. Ooh, awful. Okay.
Well, when it comes to making a big rock or rock faces, you can use a lot of materials. Sure, you can use all kinds of plaster, but I like to use natural materials, cork and bark. And as you can see, I have bark, obviously, and two types of cork, and two types of bark. Thinner sheets, and you can actually split them up in even thinner sheets, which is great. And then we have thicker pieces of rectangle bark pieces. Okay, so I mishmashed them and I just simply glue them on. I did do a collaboration video with 3 other channels where we all made a small rock. Maybe you want to check it out. I think I will put the link somewhere with this video. But using these materials, let me show you what I've done in roughly one day. You see the all these different kinds of bark chunks being hot glued onto a foam base, and some of them are actually sticking out. And as you can see, it's a mishmash of bark chunks and pieces, with, again, using all the 3 different kinds of materials. From a distance it may look a bit like a rock, but now we have to more or less blend all these individual parts together, so it looks more like one big rock. So for this I will use paper mache, some tools,
and I will try and fill in all the nooks and crannies to get a more or less smoother surface, and well, keep you posted. If you choose to work with bark when you want to make a rock, I suggest you simply start gluing. It's not really something you have to think through up front. Simply start and let the shapes of each individual bark part guide you, and yes, you will adjust a lot on the bark itself, or even you might want to cut away foam, slice pieces off, make it deeper so a specific bark piece fits better. So yeah, so simply start, and where things doesn't look that great, I'm not sure about this part here, know that we can still adjust a lot during this whole process. Like, we have to add plants and flock, and if it's really not good, well, cut it away and do it again. After about 15 minutes, I did actually quite a big chunk. So I think the whole, in all, it will take me between 2 and 3 hours for sure. But actually, I think that's quite fast if you look at the size of this rock. As you can see, as you can compare it maybe also, it really starts to blend in. The pieces start to blend in. Now, mind you, paper maché is it's environmental friendly. It works really easy, and as you can see, you can use also your finger to smoothen things out. Note, it dries very slowly, depending on how thick you apply this stuff, and if it dries very quickly, it will crack because it will shrink. If it dries a little bit slower, it will shrink, but it will crack a little less. For a rock face, that's perfectly fine, and if you do not like it, you can apply a second coat where these cracks are. But for now, this is how I work with bark and with paper mache, and get back to you when the rock is covered totally in this stuff.
Well, and there you have it. Took me 2 hours to get all the bark that is now on this foam base treated with the paper mache. It looks nice. The individual parts are now more or less connected and blended in very nicely. And during the process, I already start thinking about adding structures on this rock surface, like a tower maybe, or maybe a house partially on and or in this rock face. Overall, I'm very pleased with the result. One thing that's important, know that paper mache dries slowly, but when it's drying, it also tends to form cracks. Now, that's fine in a rock face, but if you really do not like it, you can apply a coat afterwards and get rid of those cracks. Anyways, it looks great. I'm pleased with it. So I let it sit, I let it rest, and I first want to move on to another section, but I will most certainly get back to this rock. Okay.